A length of steel wire is fixed at one end and increasing force is applied to the other end of the wire. The force extension graph of the wire is shown. Which row of the table identifies point P, Q, and R on the graph? Now, this picture on the right side, this is very important because it summarizes what are these different points on the stress versus strain graph. What are these points called and what each of these points mean? This picture is taken from a textbook by Miles and Hudson. So if you read your textbooks, you must have seen this picture in the textbook. Point A on this graph is called the limit of proportionality. What limit of proportionality means is that beyond point A, the equation that stress is directly proportional to strain is no longer valid. So this equation, stress is proportional to strain, this is only true for this point A, from origin to point A. Beyond this point, it doesn't work. Point B is called elastic limit. What it means is that beyond this point, the object will not restore its original position. So if you stretch it beyond this point, it will not restore to its original position. It will be permanently deformed. Point C is called the yield point. So you can also read it here. Beyond this point C, even a small amount of stress can produce a sudden extension in the material, and of course, it will be permanently deformed. Point D is called the ultimate tensile stress. This is the highest possible stress within the material. And this last point, point E, is called the fracture point, and beyond this point, the object simply breaks. Also, you should note down this learning tip. It is quite important for the limit of proportionality, the elastic limit, and the yield point to be in the same place on the graph. They have been separated here to explain the different ideas behind each. So sometimes they will be very close to each other. They can also be at a single point, but still you should know their individual definitions. So after this, I'm sure you can easily answer this question. So point P here, now you know that it's called yield point. So the first two options are incorrect. It can either be C or D. Point Q is called elastic limit. And we know that beyond this point, the object is permanently deformed. So even if you forget what R is called, you can clearly see that it is option C, because this is yield point and Q is elastic limit and R is limit of proportionality. Now, this type of question is mostly asked in MCQs, but it's really important to understand that this proportionality limit, stress is directly proportional to strain. The definition of Young's modulus is only valid within this limit. It means that if you are trying to find, for example, Young modulus from stress strain graph, you cannot find the slope of, for example, this line here and call it Young modulus. We know that on a stress versus strain graph, slope represents the Young modulus, but you have to remember that it is the slope of the line for which stress is directly proportional to strain. So only the slope of this line right here will give you Young modulus. And if you find the slope, for example, here or somewhere here, this will not give you Young modulus because this is not within this limit.